Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello. I was almost late. Not bad. How's it going? I was just putting together my little cheat sheet, and then I realized I needed to go live, so I didn't get it done, but that's okay. We kind of know what we're doing today, and we're making the Wardrobe by Me men's utility jacket. I got it right here, and let's see. This shows a nice back view. I'll be omitting this little shoulder strap thing here, and then the waist casing. That's it. But I'm going to show you how to sew the waist casing, and I won't skip over that. So, and then you can see how to do it without too. So, all right. So the sizing on this is, hi, Sweet Pea. Oh, I was going to call you Hannah, but it's not Hannah. Tammy, right? Oh, I think I got it right. How's it going? I just realized I have all this ink on my arm. I didn't realize my pen cap was open, so hopefully that won't show up today. All right, so the sizing on this goes from about a 28.5-inch chest up to a 47-inch chest. And let's see, I have the metric here as well. I thought I had it like right here. Or was that? Yeah, that was imperial. Where did I put the metric? Oh yeah, it's right here. So in the metric, it's a 72 centimeters up to 120 centimeter for the chest. So I would love to know from folks if they think this is pretty inclusive sizing or not. I'm kind of curious about that. Hi, Dar. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Terry. Oh, good. I got it right. I just remembered Ray talking to you in chat yesterday, and she calling you Tammy, and I was like, oh, she's so good, you know? So that helped me remember. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious. I know that someone was asking about more inclusive menswear patterns when we were sewing, I think, the chinos. And the thing is, like, my husband, he has the other issue where sometimes things aren't sized small enough for him. So it's, you know, because he's at the very bottom end. Like, he would literally fit into the bottom size in some ways. But, well, not really. That's a little too small for him. I'm making him the medium because, like I said, his shoulders are pretty broad. They're very sloped, but they're very broad. And also all those years of doing fencing really built that up, even if he doesn't do it anymore. It's just kind of like, you know, like when you're like young, and the way your body forms is kind of based upon all the activities you're doing. Because I was a gymnast, and so my body is still built kind of like a gymnast, just a chubby one. So I think like his measurements, though, I think are down in the extra small realm. but I'm making him the medium, and I'm taking out some in the back, and I showed how I did that yesterday. I just pivoted a little bit out. Hi, Nicole. How's it going? So, yeah, I'm kind of curious how people think, like, what would be their ideal inclusive sizing for, I don't want to say just menswear. I just want to say straight fit, you know? So, I'm curious. All right. So I have this on my steps because I was writing them down here. And I'm just going to look ahead. I'm going to write down my last few steps because I think we can get through the up to, okay, so then sleeves and then cuff. I may have to refer to these pages to see how it's designed. Yeah, so I'm going to go all the way up to the placket, I think. And that'll be great to start off with the placket because I know a lot of folks will probably, like if they're looking for any help on this garment, it's probably going to be specific steps sometimes. And I think that would be probably a big one. That's the one I would look up. All right, let's get going. It is very smoky here. Everything's a little orange. The sun is orange. It's very sci-fi. Hi, Malin. How's it going? This is what I love about having a metal machine is I can just magnetize my little cheat sheet right there. It's really great. Sometimes I do that for the uploaded videos and you never know it. Hi, Penny. Oh, nice. That's fun. My daughter did some of those. It was funny. We ate somewhere. Oh, yeah. We ate in this cafe that was built on the back of a hotel, you know, like a restaurant that's open to the public, but it's part of the hotel. But it was on the river in the town, and it was like I've like every time we're eating out, I'm like, can't we find a place on this river? Like we never even get to see this river. It's huge. And so we finally found a place, and it had that kind of summer camp vibe, and I'm so into that. I don't know why. And my daughter turned to me and she goes, why, did you love summer camp? Like who does, you know? And I was like, no, but I just love the ambiance from all those movies when I was growing up, you know, like Parent Trap and stuff. It's so iconic. And the table was like dark wood, but like handmade, and it had all those little tiny gouges out of it, you know? I'm sure if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, but it's probably kind of a weird thing. And it's probably distinctly American too. And everything was a little sticky. So I love that restaurant. It was really good too. It was good, and it got really great reviews. And it's probably, you know, those tables being outside probably contributed to some of the summer camp vibe, you know. So, hi Ursula, hi Emily, hi Paul. Oh, you made it back, cool. Oh, don't worry ever about being late or early or whatever. We're here, and then it gets uploaded. So, and you haven't missed anything. So, I really want to jump right into sewing, but I want to talk to you a little bit about this thread choice. So it took me a bit to get my machine to play nice with it. My machine was never calibrated for this thread. Two of the factories I've worked at, I make it sound like I worked in 100 factories when I've only worked at probably 4. They were calibrated for this kind of thread. And so always be careful buying, like if you see a factory going out of business, this is how I got my whole wall of thread back there. It's right, let's see. You know, all that thread right there, most of it, the reason I have so many colors is because there was a factory that went out of business next to the one that I was working at. And so I could buy a bunch of thread, which was great. It does mean it's getting a little older, you know, but it works great, you know. But you got to be careful that it's not this kind of nylon-y thread because your machine, it may not work in your machine. So, and their machines were calibrated for it. All of our machines were too. So it took me a little bit. I upped my needle to a size 18 because I felt like the needle hole was too small and I was getting some pretty serious tension issues. And this thread is supposedly going to aid in making my jacket more waterproof at all those needle holes. So I got it at Sale Right, and on the spool it's called Sunstop. Yeah, so, and if you search their site, it comes up. They have a lot of the colors too, which is great. So, hi Rebecca, hi Elizabeth, hi Hannah, Hi, Allison, Sydney. Nice, nice, cool. So this thread, I did some tests, you know, I sewed a seam, and if you are on Instagram and you look soon, my shirt feels like it's pulling. I think it's my microphone. Sorry, I just whacked it. If you look at my stories, probably by the end of today, you'll see the photos I put on there of the water on it. And so what I did was I did a seam, just a straight up seam. I'll lighten up the camera even more. I was a little worried I overdid it. And then I put water on here. I just sprayed a bunch of water on there, more than probably you would get sitting on your jacket, just sitting there. And I just left it alone. And I did the same thing. I sewed a seam and then I top stitched it to the side. Let's lighten this up right now. And I left the water on there, and I didn't see any fabric on the other side. I'm going to darken this for a second, and I'm going to bring it up again. That a little better? That's a little better. We could do a little more, huh? Just got to be careful that the table doesn't get too bright for you guys. Okay, so it is navy blue, which is great, and it matches, and the tension looks really good right now. I feel pretty good. I feel like, honestly, the top might be a little too tight. I can see my bobbin thread now. Now I have the light's better during this time of day. Oh, is there an echo? Oh. Does that help? Let's see. Oh, that fixed it, I bet. Did that fix it? Thank you for telling me that, Nicole. I flipped between two mics. I have that one gone. This one here. Did that work? Let me know. Cool, thank you. I'm getting the hang of this. I'm getting the hang of what affects it now that I have two different mics. The smoke here, man, you guys. Ugh. Okay, so the other test I did was I determined the right and wrong side of my fabric, but it's not much different. So I think I'm gonna go with, like, this fabric feels slightly fuzzy on one side, and that's gonna be my wrong side. So I determined that. The last little test I did was fusible interfacing. So a lot of these pattern pieces came with, they need interfacing. And I agree, this fabric is a lot lighter weight now that I've kind of washed it. And I wanted to wash it mainly because the lining fabric I'm doing is a little lightweight. And I just thought, in the off chance some of the dye kind of leaks on it, you just never know, right? So, okay, Sydney, have fun. Yeah, when it's not crowded, be careful. You know, it's been really rare that I've seen it, but it happens. You know, synthetics can bleed a little bit, and I just thought, you know what, let's just make sure, right? And it's okay to wash your waterproof garments and even throw them in the dryer a little bit because it sometimes reactivates the DWR. It just depends on your waterproof fabric. And it made my fabric a lot softer. And it's still waterproof. It works great. There's a lot of photos in my stories with it. And I showed you guys on camera yesterday. But because it's lighter weight, it's actually lighter weight now than my ripstop lining. I'm using this like Japanese, it's really bright for this, Japanese stretch cotton ripstop, right? It's not like this is too heavy. It's only in the body of the jacket anyway. It's gonna give it some substance, you know? But I felt like it really did need the interfacing. So I thought this would be the best choice using this, I'll put it at an angle. This is a woven interfacing, so it's cotton, and I fused it on there, and I felt like that would be the best. And once I did, it wasn't as waterproof. So once I heat set it with my iron, that much heat directly on there and fused it, it would still be water resistant, but it wasn't waterproof anymore. And so I felt a little bit of seeping. It was like so subtle. It would probably be fine, but I'm not gonna take a chance. So what I decided to do, I have so much extra fabric, I cut all my interfacing out of the same exact fabric. That was my solution. But I want to tell you guys, if anyone's doing a waterproof jacket and they need interfacing, I Googled waterproof interfacing, and there is a huge world of these things for lots of different applications. It really made me want to like check it out and see what are some of the applications for these. Some of them were for raincoats and garments and things like that, but others were more for outdoor applications. So if you're kind of looking for something that's going to extend the life of something, that's going to come in contact with the elements, you might look at this world of waterproof interfacings and inner linings, because it was kind of interesting, and it would protect your filling if you're doing like some outdoor cushions or something. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. They may even sell some on the SaleRight website, because that site's pretty thorough. So, oh, you haven't gotten Penny? That's great. Yeah, we're pretty close to this fire, so they're working really hard. It's huge though. It is huge. All right, this is just my little sample. So I kind of want to dial back my top tension a little, which I just did a little. The other thing I noticed is that my thread clipper underneath isn't functioning at 100% with this nylon thread. So I'm gonna have to probably hand cut things. So if I try, oh, it's not gonna let me because I just moved the hand wheel. Oh, that time it cut it, so that's great. See, if I lessen the top tension, it instantly gets a little out of whack. So let's, oh, see, now it's out of whack again. That is gathering it. Why are you doing that? Make sure everything's okay. I also removed the thread. If you have one of these machines, that is so bright, you guys. When you come down through the first tension dial, the little small one, you go through a hook and then through the next tension dial. And then when you come back up, I always go back through that hook, and that's how I've been taught, and it does make a difference. I removed it from that to kind of lessen some of the tension. If you have one of these machines, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I don't like the sounds this makes. I really hope that this thread works out, because I'd really hate to feel like a little less, and now it's really out of whack. You can see probably even on this really bad camera. See it? You see these? All right, well, let me put that back up, and let me put this back through the loop. I had it all set up, was doing good. That looks better. That looks a little better. Oh, now it looks bad. Okay, so let's undo this one here. I have two tension dials. The top one, I've been told, is for the thread, and the but if you were to look at these two tension dials, you would think it's the bottom one, because it looks more like a more traditional. Well, this one's not even through the tension discs. Ah. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, it bounced out of there. Okay, let's try that again. Now it's going to be really out of whack of it. I'm not sure what this would be like to sew in your home machine, to be honest. I think some of them would work just fine, because some are a little bit more heavy duty. I'm not going to cut the thread. I'm just going to pull it out like this. And it's this one here. Okay, that looks really good. I'm almost done, and then we'll start sewing. I just need to make sure I got this right. The stitch looks pretty good. Like the stitch looks really good from the right side. On the underside, it just doesn't look as clean. But doing the thicker fabric helped a lot. All right, let's try it. All right, we'll leave this as our little sample. The other crazy thing about using this thread is it'll just start bouncing off of your bobbin. So I had to tape mine on here. And what I mean by that is this fabric is so stiff that it'd be like trying to, you know, coil a zip tie around your bobbin to exaggerate it. So it's very rigid. And so once, you know, even though I wound it on the bobbin with my bobbin winder and it put it on there in the correct tension, as soon as I clip the thread from the winder, it starts going, you know what I mean? So you got to be kind of on top of it when you remove it from your bobbin winder. All right, so we're going to do our pockets first. I'm sorry it's so bright. I'm sorry. I'll fix it in just a second. Let me get all these pieces on here first. All right, let's put some navy blue on the screen here. So I went through and I just cut everything with this fabric as my interfacing. I think this is only one. All right, let's do it. Let's move my pen. I'm going to use these little Clover kit clips if I have to use any pins today. I'm not going to use any pins. Anytime you're doing waterproof, don't use pins. You don't want to add more holes. I'm just looking for the right side of the fabric right now. I have 3 layers here, one for my interfacing. The seam allowance is 3/8. Does it sound as heavy to you guys as it does me? Oh, really? A piece of hood was missing seam allowance? Hi, Megan. How's it going? That's interesting. I do feel like there was something up with that, but because I ended up modifying my hood to be less baggy, I probably didn't notice that. Okay, I'm going to trim this seam allowance down. There's only one chest pocket that has a flap. The other one is unflapped. So we only need one flap for up there. I'm not going to iron my project because of that experiment I did with the interfacing. I feel like that was definitely indicative of something I probably shouldn't do since it decreased the waterproofness. And, you know, that might be really hard for some folks to not do because they're so used to it and it's such a tool for a lot of folks. But you don't do that in a factory. They don't ever iron anything. Not just waterproof stuff. Just dresses, everything. They will steam it in quality control before it leaves the factory, and that's about it. I am, Hannah. The machine does sound louder. Yeah, it's this, because it's a 6 size 16 needle and this heavier thread. Can you tell, Hannah? Or is it worse? It's still going to vibrate because the machine is obviously going to move. That's a little asymmetrical, isn't it? Just adjusting my tension a little bit more and get all these little threads out into the seam allowance just so everything's as nice. So if you are seeing like maybe just 2 spots where your thread is looking a little loose, you know, you can go, I usually sometimes use my awl and I'll sit here and just stick my awl under each stitch like this to kind of lift up the stitch and bring it back to the front, you know? And so when I slowed down right here at this corner and turned, you can see that the stitching looks a little messier. It does? That's great to hear. Good. Yeah, I played around with it yesterday. I lifted my machine up and put it on the pads. It made no difference, and it made my machine like this much higher, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like this. And then I didn't notice any difference, and so then I put it under my cameras at this end, not at that end. Those cameras are over the serger. Same assembly though, so there's probably going to still be some. And then I have my serger and my cover stitch on huge ones, so I don't know how much that will help. You know, the only thing that's going to help probably is if I attached my cameras to the ceiling, which I have to tell you guys, it sounds a little bit more ambitious than I'm kind of up for because my ceilings in here are probably 10 feet high. They're really, really, really high. Okay, so this is, I'm just looking for the right side of the fabric, and I feel like this is the right side. Yeah. So we'll do 2 more flaps. Line it up a little bit. How's the lighting and everything? Do you want me to bring the camera down lower or brighten it up at all? Just let me know. Look at this. It just bounced out of, the thread bounced out of this thread guide here. Trying to pivot so that my pocket flap is symmetrical. All right. It's not quite, oops, I forget my thread snipper doesn't work. Hi, Nancy. How's that? That better? That is a little better, huh? Was it the Malin, was it just the regular pattern, or was it the lining? Because you know, that's another thing, is that I used the pattern for the lining. And so I wonder if they caught it during that and they didn't notice they caught it. You know what I mean? Because I used the pattern that was aimed at using a lined version. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat and I need to sit back. There we go. Oh, that's so much better. Cool. That's good to know, you guys. And hello, Nancy. How's your arm doing? Okay. So the side that has this 2 layers of fabric, that's going to be my top flap. So can you see that? There's 3 layers of fabric in here. 1 is acting as interfacing, and so this is going to be the top, the side that faces out. And this is the side I would top stitch. Get my corners a little crisper. Oh, this one's deep in there. It does feel weird not to be able to iron, even for me. Oh, I knew you weren't going to catch. I knew it. Okay, I'm not going to push that with this fabric. It's just too thick. See, look at that. It already gets caught. Oi. And I don't think my bobbin will be able to hold as much. I've wound 2. In fact, we're either I got some thread stuck in there. Wow. What the heck? What is that stuck on? Dang it. Top narrow edge where it's meant to be. Oh. Oh, nice. Hello, Citizen Smart. Welcome. Catching me at a weird moment right now, though. I don't even know where this thread is stuck. I can't even see anything under there. It's like fully lit up. Oh, there we go. I got it. Sheesh. Sometimes that happens if you start too close to the edge of your fabric. And so a lot of folks will butt up against the beginning of their sewing back here, a piece of scrap fabric like this. And then that way they don't have this issue. And it'll also, if they're really doing some nice sewing, they'll always start on this back piece. Oh shit. Sorry. I didn't mean to cuss. I forgot my bobbin, you guys. Wow. You guys should just turn me off now. It's not fluffier, it's nylon, but it is pretty stout. When you look under there. Promise I know what I'm doing. Gotta love live TV. All right. Before I break into a tutorial again, let's make sure we got the machine threaded. So yeah, so they'll start on a piece of scrap fabric and then go on to their work, and then that way it places, oh, it's still gonna give me problems. Bugger, come on. It'll be a clean on the back so you don't have your back stitch or that like thread. It's chaotic, you love it. You know, people say like, what if you make a mistake in front of your viewers? I'm like, they love it. What are you talking about? They love the drama. And it's funny because I think I was talking, was it maybe Malin in my comments of that Reynolds top, where I think I realized I made a mistake when I was cutting out. I didn't make a mistake, but I had forgotten a piece, I think, or something. I can't remember what it was. And, oh no, it was sewing the Reynolds dress. That's what it was. I hadn't even checked that how she did the hem, how the hem was designed. And so then I partway through that, and I don't usually edit that. Like you're seeing the whole live thing. The only time I might edit it out is edit something on those ASMR videos is like, say I forgot to turn my phone off and I got a text, right? I'll just edit that sound. But, or if me walking from the sewing machine to the serger, it just takes a little too long, I'll just edit that little pause out. So I try not to edit anything out, and that is like a very real-time sewing straight through, you know? And I had to look at the instructions at one point, and I was like, wow, how am I gonna fit this in? Because I wanted to see how they did the miter. And I feel like when you see someone make a mistake, them making the mistake is almost more educational because you won't make it because you are like, oh good, she did that. I don't have to do that. You learn. Yeah, that's where you really learn this stuff. Exactly. That's awesome, Nancy. I love it. Hi, Libby. Yeah, I'm not very calm right now. That's funny. When I forget the bobbin, gosh, we don't want a command for that because we don't want that to ever happen. That's twice. That's happened to me in 3 years of streaming. Okay, let's see. There's a box pleat on this pocket, and I don't have any of the, it's interesting. I really like that this is very obvious, right? These lines, you need to, you know, make your pleat on here. But because they're not notches, I don't tend to notch these. So that's another reason I kept all my pattern pieces, because I knew, I was like, well, there's no notches on this pattern, so let's just see how this is done. This one also, you may see me struggle with the snaps too, because I don't think I have the right size tool for my snaps. Should I stitch my box pleat, you guys? What do you think? I think it would, what do you think? Would it look more, it would look more utility if I edge stitched my pleat, don't you think? And it doesn't really affect the waterproofness. We're not sending this to Gore. Hi, Ray. Right, Terry? I know. Do you remember that? I remember exactly where I was sitting when that happened, Terry. And I remember because Brooke, one of my only mods, was in the chat, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Jeremy." I remember because I was in my old studio and in where my machine originally sat in that studio. Yeah, exactly. I have a potty mouth in real life. You guys probably know that. I rationalize it with the fact that I've heard really creative people always have potty mouths. But I feel like someone creative wrote that, so my hat's off to them. All right. I'm just edge stitching my box pleat. Really hoping this will be good. Let's see. Like this. And I'm edge stitching, and then I'm lining up those notches just like that. And I'm going to stitch across the bottom, line up the notches, come on. And I'm going to stitch across the bottom here to hold it there. Between the thread being a little boingy, so is the fabric. We're doing this old school style. I wonder if I can turn off the thread snip. Actually, I don't know. I feel like I don't even know if I know I can. I feel like I knew that at one point, but now I'm not sure. Yeah, if you ever want your chat to come alive, just make a mistake. You're very creative too. Oh, exactly. Yeah, that hem was cool, huh, Ray? It's not a big deal. Everyone does it. I don't know why anyone would say they don't, you know. All right, so here's my box pleat. This feels kind of weird to hem this when it's in pleat form without ironing it, you know. I'm folding it along those notches. I could probably do a light press. I kind of want to because you can kind of see it's a little bit, I think it'll be fine once it's all sewn down. Turn it under. I would really like to stitch this from the top, from the right side rather than the bottom. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my, I'm going to use the same amount for the hem of this pocket, but instead of just turning under a little bit here, I'm going to turn it under in half. So I'm going to line up this raw edge to the notch there, and I'm going to turn it again. And then that way, my hem stitching is narrower, but my, do I want to do that? Because then I can stitch it from this side and I probably wouldn't worry too much. But the thing is, this, well, that's okay. The snap is down here, so that doesn't make a difference. The pocket is the same height. It's just my hem stitching isn't coming all the way down. Oh, but let's see. Yeah, but that provides a facing for your snap. What do we think? What if I overlock this edge and then turn it under? I'm kind of thinking, I could also edge stitch my turn under right here and then turn it. Hi, Michelle. Boingy, boingy. No one's going to see this on the inside, so maybe that's what I'll do. So I'm just going to stitch my turn under just to hold it, kind of like basting. And then this way, oops, I used my thread snip again. I think that's where I get into trouble with my thread. This way now when I turn it, it is folded and I don't have to worry about it as much, and I can stitch from this side. Yeah, I think that was a good compromise. All right, let's get this nice and even. I'm holding my pleats down. It's interesting the pleats go through the hem, huh? Did I run out of bobbin? Oh, I knew something was wrong. Did I already run out of bobbin? Oh, this is going to be a really long sew if I've already run out of bobbin. Hi, Wardrobe by Me. How's it going? Christina, right? I think I looked up your name. Wow, this is going to be a really long project. I'm going to have to wind way more bobbins. How's it going? No, the Reynolds does have side vents. Yeah, on the dress. But it was, that's what it was. That's what Melinda and I talked about on the top. I thought that those were vents on the top. I explained it in the video. That's what I was talking about. I did talk about that with Melinda. So when I did the dress, I was like, oh, okay. How's it going? I'm kind of having some struggles since I'm using this waterproof thread. My machine's like, it's okay. That sounds really terrible. I'm gonna get all the way to the edge though. Yeah, this is just, I don't know, you guys. I'm having doubts. I think because this bobbin is much fuller, I can't even get it out of the case. Look at that. Oh, look at that. So this is the little tension spring that sits at the bottom of my bobbin case, and it's getting a little chewed up. So a lot of industrial machines have this little tension spring in here. And my last machine had lost this, and they're like, that's really common. And so what they do, like my mechanic, he would take a little piece of binding and just put it in there. Yeah, this thing's getting a little bit bent out of shape now. Ooh, maybe this is not the thread I should use, you guys. Yeah, so I'm not sure. All right, snap it in there again. There's little like, can't see them, but like right here, there's a little thing that it wants to, it fits into little slots. And it's a little bent now, so it doesn't want to go in there. But these are the things that get lost. You don't even know you'll lose it because, like, obviously it's paper thin. I'm trying to figure out, make sure, is there like a left and a right? Yeah. This is how it goes. This is how it goes right here. Just like this. Stop it, stop it. It's a little magnetized. And so it's grabbing my awl. I think it's time for me to have my mechanic out, honestly. It's been a couple years. I used to have him come out every 3 months. I can't get it back in there. I feel like I'm doing party tricks now. Yeah, right, Malin? I'm not sure about this thread. I was going to do a test with you not using it, and then I just ran out of time. Oh, oh, it's okay. It feels a little wonky right now, though. So I'm wondering if it would even... I'm just going to try and put it in one more time. Okay, I got that one in. I just can't get this side in over here. It's because it's bent the wrong way. I love how I spent a couple hours testing everything yesterday, and now I'm having all these issues. This is drama we're here for. Welcome, Samantha. Are you here for the drama too? I'm gonna put in this side first this time. All right, I think it's in there. I really wanted to use this thread. Oh, I didn't see Hannah's thought. Oh, like doing a different bobbin thread. Oh, right, Terry, exactly. Yeah, sometimes there's just no bobbin spring. All right, this is too purpley. Well, I could try that. I mean, at least it's something, right? Let me see if I have a navy blue bobbin or 2 or 3. I don't. All right, so I'm gonna sew. I have one, but it's not very much. So I'm gonna sew for a little bit on this while it winds a bobbin, because it doesn't take very long. You are absolutely right, Terry. Good point. These bobbins are so tight on my bobbin winder. All right, so I'm gonna take away the waterproof thread. I'm gonna put it here so I don't accidentally put it in. I'm gonna put in regular bobbin thread. We're also hoping the bobbin spring is playing nicely now. Let's just see how that sews. Sounds nicer. It looks good. All right, let's put, I just need to put on a blue spool over here so it's winding. So just a second. My industrial machine winds bobbins while I sew, as long as you have a bobbin on there. You know, I didn't use this feature for the longest time, and one of my earliest mechanics was like, why aren't you using that? And I was like, I never thought to do it. Yep. We believe in the sewing fairy here. She's not very nice sometimes, but most fairies aren't. All right. All right, so I'm just gonna do a little test off to the side while, no, I want you, of this combination. So I'm going to sew a seam. I'm gonna top stitch it. I just noticed a fatal flaw with my seam because it would probably give false results because I used a fold. So let's cut this open like a traditional seam, and I'm going to squirt it with water. Right, fingies crossed. All right. Let's sew. Yeah, thanks, Barry. All right, I don't have much bobbin thread in there, so we're gonna run out again. But now I feel like we can make some forward progress. All right. Yeah, look at all that mess back there. Worst pocket ever. Okay, so this is the smaller, no, this isn't the smaller pocket. This is this one here, the left chest pocket. We have the right chest pocket here, so let's hem that. And same thing, this isn't something I usually do, but I'm gonna fold this and sew the turn back. So I can sew it from the right side so that my thread stays consistent from the top. Onwards! And now I can use my thread snip. I mean, this kind of reminds me of when we're doing jeans and we're using the top stitch thread. We can't usually use that in the bobbin, right? So I'm not that surprised, but I was hopeful. I didn't do this the way that Wardrobe by Me has it in the patterns, and that is a really nice clean way to do it. They have you turn it back first and then hem it, so it would be tucked in there. I just did this kind of in a traditional way because I forgot. I wanted to try it that way. We'll do it on our others. All right, so we have our 2 chest pockets here. Let's do our lower pockets here. And again, I think I'm going to top stitch my box pleat. Oh, these are clipped. All right, all right. These are all clipped. Did I just do that? Kind of want to switch my, I kind of want to switch my bobbin now. We'll try a little more sewing and see how far we can get. All right, so let's edge stitch this pocket. Lining up my notches here for the box pleat, and I'm just edge stitching the pleat, that's all. Giving it more of that utility look, you know? How are you guys seeing everything? Is it too bright or too dark? Too close? All right. Remind me to check the, oh, I ran out of thread. Look at that. Come on, you guys. Just teasing. Oh, yeah. I hear you, Libby. I have a few spools where I have to, I can't get my bobbin off. It's just, these are so much tighter on my bobbin winder. Yeah, like this one, I wound my spools yesterday because I have to do them separately. When I had my home machine set up, I used it as a bobbin winder because it's nice and quiet. But on my industrial, it doesn't really matter since I'm sewing and, you know, doing it at the same time. I felt like I felt something underneath. That's why I was checking. Just making sure right now. The sewing fairy's like, lady, I've warned you. This is the worst place ever for me to have a back stitch. Slowly dying inside because of it. It'll be in my pocket hem. That's my only consolation. Kind of. Let's get rid of this thread here. All right, let's make our pleat. Oh, we have this other one over here. We haven't even gotten to sewing the jacket together. We're just on pockets. Not a good thread day. Do you know how many hours I prepare for a project, you guys? Especially this one. This is the first one in a while I actually got the directions, brought them on my trip, and just read through them a couple of times because I wanted to make sure I was doing it roughly in the same order and I did it the same way because I feel like there's probably not a whole lot of people who've sewn this, and I didn't really want to deviate too far just in case it helped somebody, you know? And I don't usually, if you're here enough, you'll know, I don't usually prepare too much. I don't read ahead because part of this experience is coming at it kind of green, you know? And not in a bad way to where there is drama. It usually is fine, right? But it's a great opportunity to problem solve on the way and kind of gives us some chances to kind of go, oh, okay, I didn't know this is the way they were going to design this, you know? So, but besides that, I looked up thread, fabric, lining, and hardware. Like this one was kind of a bigger project. Why does that look so crooked? I can't handle that. So the fact that I still have drama, you know, is kind of nuts to me. I want this to be straight. I'm looking at this line right here and making sure it's parallel. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to make it parallel over using the notch because I must have gotten something a little bit off. The other thing you can do is you can edge stitch the inside of the pleat also if you want it to lay nice and flat inside. Oh, the orifice, really? Well, that's interesting. Did that, because people love, they talk about that thread. And you know, that's one of the funny things about coming back as a home sewist to this, you know, because I've never worked in the home sewing industry. It's the only industry I've never worked in like sewing wise. And I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening in the sewing world because I was really busy with my factory. And when I started kind of paying attention a little bit and kind of like starting to follow people and getting kind of excited about, you know, sewing more for myself and having more time for it, come on, I noticed that everyone was like, thread. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. No one used to really talk about thread or have these like thread sponsorships, you know? And that is when I see. So I think if I had edge stitched this pleat, it would lay nicer, you know? All right, so let's get this on its hem here. I'm gonna stitch it from this side so my thread all looks the same. Kind of trying to make sure I'm getting the same width. I'm kind of pulling this just to make sure that these pleats stay nice and perpendicular. All right. It's a little drawn up right there. Why is that? I think we're going to wonder things like that this whole project. All right, one more. Let's get settled in here. This is the top. All right, so we're going to go here. Now's the time to start making your raincoat, though. Right? Nicer to do it now than when you really need it. Kind of looking at my machine, making sure it's still threaded properly. Never know. Superior King Tut thread. Wow, that is such a name, you know? I think when I was home sewing and working at a fabric store, before I kind of like, you know, wasn't sewing for myself and kind of wasn't in this home sewing world for a bit, Gutermann, you know, Gutermann and Mettler were the two brands, and that was it, and that's what I used, and that's what I heard people talk about. Aw. Yeah, we have a pug, so hearing the dogs snore. Hi, Angela, how's it going? You have only missed a drama, so you're right on time unless you're here for the drama. Yeah, I think that's what I have too, Nicole. As far as my cones that go that I bought that are home sewing related. This is the top here. So I'm just turning under this so that I can stitch it from the right side. And you know, I think buying, you know, thread, it's like you've spent all this money on the project and the fabric, especially if you're in the beginning realm of sewing. I think the idea of having to buy like what they would consider designer thread is probably like, oh, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back sometimes. You know, you're like, wait, what? I have to worry about my thread too? Isn't all thread the same, you know? And so I really feel for someone who, it's like, we all know our beginning projects weren't as like nice as our projects as we gain skill, right? But it's almost like the effort is more when you're a beginner. So you're putting more effort into a project that probably isn't turning out as good as it will 2 years from now, right? And so, oh, this looks kind of bad. So, you know, it's kind of a bummer that it's kind of that weird, like, what is that? That kind of, you know, escalation of ability, you know? Yeah, right, Nicole. I mean, I would be careful of that. All right, so this looks pretty wonky, this one, for me. I feel a little bit like I might take this out. I'm only considering doing this too because it's a pocket. Ooh, it comes out way too easy. If this were my garment, I'd be probably pretty disappointed if I had to take something out because of the needle holes. And I'd have to try and aim for those same ones, which, you know, sometimes you don't want to aim for the same ones if you're trying to correct a mistake because you don't want to do the same ones, right? But this looks a little bit wonky, and I think it was the thickness of the pleat. As I passed over it, it kind of changed the direction of my presser foot a little bit, and then on top of that, it kind of made the fabric torque. It's probably not very noticeable to you guys, but it's just enough that I don't, you know, it's right front and center on the garment. It's pretty easy to take something out. So let's make sure we get this nice and straight. And then let's make sure our notch is still straight across from each other. And I feel like this one is a little lower, so we'll just fold this one a tiny bit more generously and line this one up. There we go, let's try that again. Sometimes you can cover up wonkiness when you go to turn under the sides to stitch it down. That felt a little too much, so let's make sure I got this nice and straight. That turned under edge, it's almost like it has a little too much tension, so it's shorter. That did not change much. You see that? Hi, Esther. Nice. All right, let's put these on our jacket. Ooh, now things are getting real. Welcome, Lauren. Boy, of course I'm getting subscribers today when there's sewing drama. I see how you guys are. Let's move all these pocket pattern pieces out of the way. Oh, my snaps. All right, this is another thing we might have a little bit of sewing drama because I'm kind of thinking that this pocket, I just can't get over it. It does not look right. It looks, do you see it? Yeah, look, there's something right here. What is happening right there? I don't like that. My snap tool doesn't fit inside the underneath the cap, that piece. See, it's very thick right here, so it's nice and stable, but right here, it's a one layer. Well, we are using a thread that kind of promotes the jacket being waterproof, Esther. And I was using it as the bobbin, and then we all decided that that just is not going to fly. It was giving me lots of trouble. So I've got regular thread in the bobbin now. Let's take a gander at our test over here. All right, so I'm going to flip it over without getting water on the back. And I don't see anything. I don't feel anything. So maybe that upper thread will be enough. Yeah, sewing fairies in a face. There's not usually this much drama, is there? Or is there? I do not have the thing half finished, Lynn. I'm on the pockets. I like your optimism, though. Yeah. That looks okay. I'm about to go on vacation. Let's try. Still staying in my same sewing path. Okay, that worked. What'd you miss? Yeah, exactly. All right. Now let's do some, I'm hoping this is gonna go okay. I'm a little concerned, like I said, I don't have the right tool. I didn't buy the tool because I already had it from the same place, but when I put this piece here inside this, it doesn't go in. See that? Oh, it does go in. Oh, okay, good. I could not get that thing to go in earlier. All right, so we're going to oh my gosh, I can't grab this. Try and do this somewhat quickly so we can get to the sewing part of it. All right. Yeah, I do it all the time, Esther. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things, hands down, about my industrial machine is the pressure of the presser foot. I absolutely love, whoops, how stout it can be, you know? gonna use my, I'm not gonna use my screw punch. Maybe I'll just use my awl. As long as I can get my cap through here like this. And I can't. Yeah, it's just because this waterproof thread is a nylon. It's very thick. It's very boingy, to use a technical term. And it just doesn't want to be, yeah, it's kind of just too stout. All right, so cover your ears. That didn't feel like it did anything. Yeah, this tool doesn't feel quite right. Let me see. The nickel looks really nice though. All right, one. Yeah, the presser foot's just so, it's just, there's something about the fact that you can hold your garment in place using your presser foot while you hoik on it, pull it, adjust things, and it doesn't pop out. That right there is definitely, you know, it's just key. All right, so this is the right side. We only have 3. There's only 3 flaps. And they'll be on the cuff too and the center front, but we will only have to do these 3 today. I'm using a little anvil here. I put this on here just to protect my table. Because one time, one of the things went through. That's why there's a hole in my table. Okay, here we go again. Ready? I'm sure my neighbors love me. They're like, dang, I thought a sewer would be a really quiet neighbor. Okay, that feels good. One more. I didn't top stitch this one yet. You guys are slacking. Always blame chat. Terry's shopping. Spill it to Nancy, Terry. I could swear we top stitched all 3 of these. You know? Sorry. Today's just not my day. It happens. How often do you think I get this, like, you know, like we'll have like a bunch of projects and yeah, things happen, but then all of a sudden we have one project where everything is just kind of, you know. You're just chilling. Awesome. I like it. Do you ever do that stuff outside, Hannah? I mean, sometimes that's even worse, you know. We used to have to set these tack buttons. You probably heard me say this story. And there was something about the way we did it, and on the table, the metal legs it just really was too loud for the people below us. And so we would coordinate with them, with their schedule when they weren't there. But they ended up making it impossible. They ended up saying, oh, well, here's our schedule. And they literally left nothing for like 12 hours of every single day. We were like, wait, you're not there though. There's nobody there all the time. There's maybe someone there about 3 hours a week, but they would say they all had all these people. And I just worked and worked and worked with them. And, you know, we would do it once. We would do it maybe twice a year, but usually only about once every 9 months. And it was for a half hour. And that's it. Just hammering tack buttons in. Every 9 months, half hour. That's it. Because we only sold about 100 of those a year. Or we made about 100 of those a year. I don't remember. Maybe 200. I can't remember. But it wasn't very many, you know. And so we do it for that little bit of time. I remember all these numbers because we talked about it with them. And then they were just being so unreasonable. I finally had to just tell the landlord, like, I'm really, really sorry. I'm sure she's really complaining about me. I'm doing my best to coordinate with her, and I'm not sure what to do. So I just want to make sure that, you know, I don't get evicted for this, you know, and we've tried doing it outside. We've tried doing all the things, and my landlord was like, all right, you know, and so I forwarded her all my communication with the counselor. It was counselors down there. And she was like, who are all these people? And I'm like, well, I don't know. That's just the counselors. I think those names are the, you know, the counselors. And that's what she says. Those are when they're there, those hours. And so that's why we can't do it. And she was all, it's only supposed to be 2 people on the lease. So I won. They got in trouble. I was like, oh, well, that bit them in the butt. So be careful what you lie about, you know? You never know how it's going to come back to haunt you. Yeah, exactly, Hannah. That's what I figured. That was the same for us. Then I felt like it involved all the people of the complex. I don't know, Terry. It's probably literally just a supply and demand thing. Like, they don't make as many. You could probably get it if you, you know, had, you know, 5,000 of them died. That was always the problem for us. It was a really big deal when we added a cream zipper to our lineup. We would always use black. It was such a big deal. All right, one more. Here we go. I feel like that could be a little bit. These are spring snaps, by the way. And yeah, look at that. It's like loose. I use the Closet Core Patterns website. I'm not going to hide where I get the... Hi, Lydia. How's it going? I feel like I'm being so noisy. Okay, this one's not going on. But I'm losing my patience for this. There's always one, right? All right, so what are you making, Terry? Let us get nosy. I never mark this stuff while I'm cutting it out because you might lose the marking, you know? And you also may never know what gonna happen in the whole process of it, obviously. You got the Prim pliers. Oh, really? For the snaps, Malin? That's a good idea. Maybe that's what I should do. These are always so much easier. Two more. Fold, fold. I just fold it along the notch. Down the center. Down the center. Oh, you don't have to shorten it. Oh, interesting. Is that brass? Or are you doing like a coil? I'm just using my awl to make the hole today too. Oh, that is that. Okay, this looked really different. They are spendy. You'd really have to do a bunch to get your money's worth, right? My problem, we never bought one because I just felt like once we just committed to one of those, we'd change styles or something. You know, it's like, I feel like that happens occasionally. You start going, oh, I'm going to get this kick press or whatever it is. And then you kind of start a rabbit hole because you love it, you get into it, but now you're getting emails from the company that sold it to you, and then they're luring you with these other things, and then you're like, oh shoot, I like that style better, you know? Feels good. Last one. Then we're sewing pockets on, and then we're getting to the waist casing, so there's still one exciting thing left. For all the folks that are watching this upload and they're just like, oh my God. Nice, Delta. Yeah, it's early there. Yeah, 150. I mean, it's like, okay, that's not that much money, but then you start getting everything else, and that's how it was when we got a heat transfer machine, which was so affordable, but it really started that rabbit hole thing, you know? Ooh, sorry, that was loud, even for me. Okay. So we have our pocket flaps. Okay. Phew. All right. All right, so you have a left and a right front, and the pocket is sewn. Honestly, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark the, okay, there's a notch, so I think that's where the flap goes. And so what I'm going to do is use, this is the chest pocket, right? Let's look at the picture. Oh yeah, so this is the chest pocket that gets a flap. And I can snap it shut. Is this my wiggly one? It kind of is. Snap it shut. Place my pocket with the flap on here, so then you know it works, right? Just like that. If you're using pins, you could pin it down on the garment. I'm going to look and see if it's nice and parallel. There you go, Hannah. Iron setters, is that what it's called? Iron setter? All right. I mean, I'd really like to be able to clip it to the garment to make sure I'm getting it nice and straight. But it's waterproof, so I'm not going to do that. This fabric is very thready for being waterproof, I've got to say. You know, usually there's a kiss coat on it, you know. I should have zoomed it in, but so the camera's not in my face, but you know. So I'm going to start upside down. I'm going to clip this start thread so I don't sew over it. All right, let's get this nice and straight. I always do that to kind of get it nice and flat, and it straightens out that edge, you know, kind of tucks things in there. I hate it when it's like not a full stitch, you know, to the corner. Because of the top stitching I did on the box pleat, it's drawing it up a little bit. I like the way it looks though. So I'm glad I did it. It's just that it draws it up a little bit, and so it's shortening this little edge. So I'm trying to maintain a nice straight line at the bottom, even though I've kind of created it to be a little harder. Harder sewing step. Tuck in this corner under. I have this thread sticking out. I think I'm gonna need to cut it. It's not behaving. Trim these threads. Hi Elena, how's it going? We're, you know, an hour and a half in and we're still in pockets. So yeah, that's how it's going here. This is the thing about these really big projects, I will say. And I think that this, what I'm about to say, might boost your confidence, even though you're seeing me struggle today a little bit. But I did add a lot of extra layers to make mine a little bit of a struggle, right? Because I'm an experimenter. I like to experiment for me and you. But I think a lot of people are like, that's just too big of a project. I don't really want to take that on. But here's the deal. You've done all this, right? You've sewn pockets on. So you're like, oh God, I got to sew this huge project. It's going to be so much work. And then you spend 2 hours just sewing pockets on. And I think in a way it's like, oh, it's just like a normal garment. I'm just sewing pockets on, you know? And every step leads to the next step, you know? And so it's just like a bunch of steps that, you know, lead up. Here we go. Okay, we have one chest pocket-roni. Okay. And then we have the other. I'm going to leave this aside for... This is the lower left front, which gets a big pocket. And then a yoke, that's back yoke, front yoke. This one goes on here, and this one goes on here. All right. Oh, I really thought I'd get to the sleeves. Oof. I better stop being hungry right now. All right, we're gonna do this chest pocket here. And I'm just going to fold my paper here. And fold my paper here. This is where my pocket is. There's not a lot of pocket markings, so you gotta kind of check it out. Hey, how was your lunch, Sydney? I'm kind of jealous. Lunch sounds good. This fabric, I wish it wasn't so thready, you know? I don't really need another layer. See, if I had sewn these the way the instructions said, I would have turned under this whole edge, then folded my top down. I would have still had another thing, like, it just shifts what you have to fiddle with, but at least I wouldn't have these threads like this. So I'm gonna turn down this folded back bit right here. I'm gonna turn it in. I just like to get that raw edge, especially since there was a notch. I like to turn it in, and so then all of those little threads are kind of caught. It's a little fiddly, but you missed a lot of drama, Sydney. All right, I'm looking for a parallel line to my center front. If you wanted 2 chest pockets with flaps, you could do that. I just got really close to the edge there. Get rid of some of these threads. So you know what I discovered on my trip was the place we stayed at had a steamer instead of an iron. And I fell in love with that thing. Like, I steamed my whole wardrobe because it took 5 minutes to iron my whole suitcase, which was only 4 dresses, but still. Oh no, Elena, wow. Oh, that's cool. You've become the grumpy. Drama, drama, drama. Yep. I think we're in a good place now because I changed out the bobbin thread for regular bobbin thread. I don't know. Did I talk about my trip yesterday? What do you want to know? It went well. It went really good. She got a job offer yesterday, and she got an interview offer for another job that she really wants yesterday. So she's trying to, like, you know, balance the two right now. So let's see. So this is your lower bottom. This is the right. And so this little notch is your casing. I'm not going to do the casing, but I'm going to show you how. I'm going to trim mine off, actually, which I could probably do. And then this one, the flap, does it get lined up to the edge too? Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. So this one, you have your pocket flap, and then you have your pocket right there. Oh, I did love it, Sydney. I loved wearing that dress. It's so comfortable, and it feels so nice and secure too. You know what I mean? Like, I think if I really got into sewing that dress a few more times, I would probably like do different neckline shapes. you know? Well, yeah, but don't announce it to everybody, Sydney. It's my kid. Yeah, but we were in Oregon. That's not really a secret. All right, so I'm placing my flap on here. What if I did this? I like that. Like this, and then I'm going to line up my pocket to this bottom one here, put my seam allowance kind of hanging off. There's, oh, well, let's put it on the actual pattern piece. It was a little tricky to use these markings. I could use a little more. Trying to get it, line up this edge here so that I know I'm folding it straight. This is probably at an angle, so it's probably more accurate to do that. Actually, we're going to do the pocket. You know? Oh my gosh. All right, that's good enough. All right, so just feeling my pocket. There we go. It's lined up on there. It's okay, Sydney. You all knew I went to Oregon. Since I went to that fabric store last time. It's a big state. Lots of cute towns. I'm trying to think of some other ways to do this, but I'm just going to put the pocket on first and then sew the flap on. It seems like the easier quotient to remove right now. And then I can't believe I thought I'd get all, maybe once I get all these pockets on, I'm hoping it goes a lot faster. So, except that I wanted to show how to do the casing today. It's actually really easy too. I found the sketch to be really confusing, but then when I figured it out, like what I was looking at, I was like, oh, okay. This is actually really easy to sew, you know? Oh, that's smart. Are your shoulders sloped? Do you feel like that could be it? I didn't angle mine pretty drastically for my dress. And I did for the top too. Like I based my dress off of what I did for the top. They are at a pretty good angle. And they're not slipping off. I love that you did a couple of trials and then you were like, I'm just going to try the D cup. I'll just try it. And then it ended up being almost perfect. So that kind of made me want to try that because, you know, I love kind of comparing things like that. Because the instructions told me to sew a B cup, and I'm not a B cup. But I also respect that they've done all their work on their pattern, you know? Just making sure I'm getting everything straight. I can't trust the flap because it's moving around a little bit. Okay, that looks better. I'm struggling a lot, you guys, too, because I'm not using an iron. Because I've noticed that it decreases the waterproofness of the fabric. If you're sewing these, you're like way past me by now. If you're not using waterproof fabric. so now we have this flap. And so what we know about this is that we probably want this raw edge to be a 1/2 inch that way, like lined up a 1/2 inch that way. Now, you could do this. You could just turn it under and top stitch it down. That for me would probably be the easiest thing since I'm not able to iron anything. This is really stout through here, so I kind of am having trouble bending that though. This might have been that spot that I was having trouble getting started sewing. But I usually like to put the flap, you know, right side down, sew a seam, and then turn it and then top stitch it and encase it, you know. Oh, interesting, Mullen. I had no idea that either. Oh, that's so interesting. That's why I just trusted the pattern, you know. Sewing cups. Compare the bust and upper bust bra cups. Oh. How come I've never known that? Are you sure? What do you mean? What do you mean sewing cups? Like, what's a sewing cup? I'm challenging you on this one. I'm just having trouble figuring out where to. Okay, so I'm gonna put this. I'm clipping my pleat to line up with my flap right now. That's all. Folding it just like that. Okay, I'm going to trim this down so that I can kind of enclose it the best I can since it's so thready. Bonjour, Florent. How's it going? Yeah, right, Lynn. That is kind of cool. Did you feel like you got a lot of transfer of the wax on any of your surfaces? I feel like all those waxed fabrics are so different, you know? I'm going to edge stitch this too. That sounds kind of thick. Ooh, I love that sound though. Size 18 needle, I feel invincible. I'm not, but you know, we obviously saw that I'm not invincible today. All right. Just cleaning this up a little bit. I have a few threads here. Looks nice. Okay. A dry wax. This one goes here. Anyone see my flap? We all know it exists. We've all suffered through them. It was literally on the pocket. Oh, yeah, Sydney. Well, you know, your machine just may not have been calibrated for that really big needle. That's all. If you're not going to use it all the time, I wouldn't worry about it too much, you know. All right. We have, this is our pocket down here. Get a nice straight line, and I'm really lining up the center front here to get my straight line because this I think is could be at a slight angle. So I'm going to crease it this time, try it this way, line it up to that crease. And then I have it this way. Oh, why won't you snap? Oh, this is the wiggly snap. Okay. This is a snap I need to fix. We don't know why it's wiggly, but it's wiggly. It just happens. All right, so I think we have that about the same. So I'm just putting clips here so that I can keep my flap lined up across. It's kind of been handy. So I can't use pins right now. Yeah, I'm kind of, I want to look into that because I don't think I've ever noticed that. And I feel like I've seen so many conversations about cup and bust stuff, you know. And I've never seen anyone say, now remember, and I worked at an athletic company where we made bras, you know, and we talked a lot about it. But we also didn't size any of our other garments according to cup size, which is what Malin's talking about. So I think that's kind of interesting. But I've just never heard of that before, even when I was in school. That's really interesting. It does make sense why sometimes when I read those, I'm like, huh, I'm not really fitting on this chart the way I usually do. My first issue with this garment was assuming all of this would be so fast. But without my iron and with thread troubles, I'm also being pretty careful since I really can't just remove things since it's waterproof. Oops, I think I did 3 stitches there. All right. All right, so if this is our flap, we're folding it under about there. I just need to get it here, and then I make sure it's parallel to the top of my pocket. And I'm sewing in that fold line. You can't just sew parallel to this raw edge. You have to sew where you're folding it. Otherwise, it won't snap to your snap. And the only way you could correct it if you accidentally do it a little too far is by, like, say I sewed this line too far down and now my snap wants to go right here. The only thing you can do is kind of fold it a little higher and then stitch it down up here. It's the only way you can kind of trick it, you know, kind of cheat. And then it's fine. You can even stitch it a couple times like I did on the flap on the other one. It's the same idea, and it's still secure. Oh, interesting, Elena. Oh, I'm sorry. You can put on closed captions, Florent. And then it might translate and turn into subtitles. So put the CC on the video, and then it might give you subtitles in your language. All right, so I'm gonna encase this. There's my snap. Oh, it's a little too high, actually. Is it a little too high? I think it's gonna be okay. Ooh, I gotta be careful. I might be getting it a little off. I have this, it's a little crooked right there. That's why I'm shaking my head. It kind of pushed my flap this way a little bit because I was focusing on something else. Very thick right here. Whew. Okay. Between this thread and everything. Okay. All right. Phew. A typing voice. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Florent. We all love the sewing drama, don't we? All right, so next we're gonna do, I am on step 2 of my little list here. Oh, step 3. Wow, okay, fine. We're gonna do the yolks. So we're going to leave these pieces here, and I'm going to sew on my yolks here. Goes here, yep, exactly. So I'm kind of keep being diligent because I really don't want to accidentally flip my pattern pieces over, since there is a left and a right, and because I'm, you know, being cognizant of which side is a slightly more waterproof, I think. So top stitch. The body of this jacket is lined, so the threadiness isn't really an issue. I'm just now remembering that I didn't leave myself flat felled seam allowance. I'm just now realizing that. Remember how we talked about that yesterday? I knew I should have set that up first the day before. I think so, right? I studied 2 years of French. My accent is terrible. It's very polluted with a Spanish accent. Growing up, you know, in California. All right, so now we have, this is the, where this casing notch is your center front, all right? That goes to this one. This goes to this one. All right, so now on mine, I'm going to cut off this casing, but I'm going to show you how to sew this casing. And so you're going to line up these notches here. And there aren't notches actually. So on the pattern piece, is this it? So on these pattern pieces, oh, there is a notch. But see how there's a notch here and a casing seam here. And so as I understand it, you're going to sew these pieces together at the casing seam. Let's double check. I just want to make sure I don't steer you guys awry. I did find it a little confusing, but I understood the mechanics of how this is going together. What I wasn't clear on is the sew line. I understood like what you're supposed to be doing once it's sewn is, and if I'm understanding the correct sew line, then all those mechanics are going to work out. So sew the jacket right, starting with the 3/8 inch at the seam junction. The width is 1 1/8. It's illustrated, split and press the seam. So actually, I think what this is then is you're going to sew this 3/8 of an inch seam here and go straight across. So, I get this now. So then that means, where's my pattern pieces? All right. So at this point here, when you get past this notch here, the seam allowance is going to be about 1 1/8 from this raw edge. Sorry, that's inches. So we're going to sew this starting at 3/8. I say start at your center front. That way you're like, okay, there's a 3/8. Okay, I'm good, good. And then there's a notch at this end, and that's at the seam line. All right, so now I know what that dotted line is for. It's not the seam sewing. It is where the casing ends up when you top stitch it down. All right. All right, and so now I'm just going to show you how to do this. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I'm going to trim mine. But then what you're going to do is you're going to trim this one right here, this upper. So we're talking about, this is the upper jacket. Why is it so like, God, the quality is just so bad today. Is it just me? It's starting to look coaty. All right, so then you're going to trim this. I think you're going to trim 3/8 of an inch off. Just follow the instructions here. So once you have this trimmed off, this is going to fold over it and stitch down like this. See that? So like I said, so here's the center front, right? So you're going to press it open. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're going to press it open here. You're going to trim this upper one here, and this is going to go all the way around the jacket. You're going to trim this edge. You're going to trim 3/8 of an inch off. Let's just look. You're going to trim the seam allowance down to 3/4 of an inch. So what is that then? Yeah, you're trimming 3/8 off then. Yeah, so because 1 1/8 minus 3/8 is 3/4 of an inch. So trim 3/8 off here, right? So that's now gone, okay, like this. And then you're going to press this. You can also press under this long edge here on the lower part of your casing. So press under this long edge. Press all of it up, and you're going to turn it under, right? You've already pressed that long edge, and then you're going to stitch it down. And so that dotted line on your pattern piece is where the casing is. And on the right side, you're just going to see a stitch line above. So I'm going to show you on some scrap fabric so you can actually see what I'm talking about. I'm hoping my thread's going to play nice. It might not. Hi, Eliza. Oh, the thread's been a little bit of a drama llama. Okay, yeah, so how about this, Elena? This might help. All right, so remember this right here. So this is our mid front right here. See, there's the armhole. Here's the center front, okay? This is just sample fabric. Here's that notch, okay? Here's your lower front, all right? So you're gonna put this right sides together, and let's start at this end here, and you're gonna start at 3/8 of seam right here. My thread, we'll see how it does on this. Okay, line up these edges here, right? You're seeing everything. And then you want a 1 1/8 inch, seam allowance right here, okay? There's a notch at this end, so you're just sewing to this notch right here. That's at 1 1/8. All right. So now we're looking at the inside of the garment. This is the upper part. You're going to trim 3/8 of an inch off this edge here. That's a little more. We're going to press this up. I wouldn't on my raincoat. But first you can also press under this edge. And you're going to just on, the, like I said, the whole coat. So press this edge up. I'm wondering why this edge wasn't already pre-trimmed, because you could still have lined up these notches. All right, so you're going to press that, and then it's going to pretty much wrap around that under piece now. And if you've pressed everything, it looks all good, and then you're going to stitch it down. I didn't press anything, so it's giving me a little bit of grief. And it's probably going to be a little bit of slack on the front. So, all right, and so then you have your casing. Now, one really important thing that you need to do, probably before you start, but let's see, when do you do that? You need to put in your buttonhole or an eyelet hole. And that's so your draw cord has a place to come out. So let's see, does that happen before or right after? I don't see it here. I know it's here somewhere. Where is that? I feel like it's mentioned here. It's not like it's bulleted, you know. You need to just make sure that that happens. Yeah, I don't see it listed here unless I'm just missing it. Oh, yeah, here it is on step 11. So after you sew the seam, this first stitch from that notch, then you're going to put your buttonhole in or your eyelet, whatever you're going to do. And then that way when you feed in your casing there and it comes through, you're going to have your spot to put your draw cord through. Sorry, I'm like reading chat and talking at the same time, and it's always makes me sound so smart, right? All right, so that's your little casing tutorial. There you go. All right. I love how I just threw my jacket on the ground over there. Okay. All right, so where are we at? So I am not doing that. I am just doing a seam there. So I'm going to trim mine down completely and just top stitch it. All right, I'm going to press the seam allowance up and top stitch. Now when you're doing waterproof garments, you know, the less top stitching the better. All right, let's do this one now. There we go. I think this is one stream I'll probably do the timestamps on right away. And I'm trimming mine down since I'm not doing the casing. Press seam allowance up. But Eliza, I don't know if you have looked at Instagram lately, and if you're curious, you can look at my stories. And I did show my experiments with sewing the waterproof thread and what I found. What I also found today is that I just can't sustain sewing it as my bobbin thread as well. So we did another test with my cotton thread a little bit ago. I kind of squirted it on a piece of scrap and it seemed to be okay. So hopefully, you know, all in all, it's still mostly waterproof. I'm not expecting this is the one he's going to take out in a torrential downpour. This is just the one I was like, this is going to be your jacket you can work out in the yard in. Isn't that nice? All right, here we go. We've got our jacket. You can't really see. Why does it look so blurry? Does it look blurry to you guys? All right. The brightness is so far up. All right, so there you go. I'm gonna... Ooh. I know I put the sharpness up earlier, but I guess it didn't work. All right. That always makes me look really wrinkly, but here, there you go. All right, so we have our fronts. Okay. Oh, hi, Maisie. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for coming. It's a struggle of a project today, but it's getting done. Too many experiments and thread issues. All right. So that's my back yoke right there. Sorry it's so bright. I'm going to calm it down in a second. All right, so I'm going to sew the side back and the center back. I'm going to set those pattern pieces there. And this is my right side of my fabric right here. Yeah, I mean, like when I put the sharpness up, you know, I do. Yeah, sorry it's so bright. Let me, that's just too bright. I don't actually care, but you know. Speaking of thread, is that how your machine acts when you try to use top stitching thread in the bobbin? Yes. I never do the top stitching thread in the bobbin. I kind of knew that, Terry, but I gave it a try and it was working okay yesterday. And that's why I kind of went forward with it. You know, so. And the thing is, like, if I kind of, like, Sailrite is a really great site for instructional stuff. And, like, today they sent a newsletter saying, hey, it's International Hammock Day or whatever. And then they have a tutorial on how to make your own hammock, which is kind of cool, all the hardware and everything. So I do really love that, but I didn't see a tutorial on how to use this thread, and maybe it's there because, like I said, they are really great about all their tutorials and things. I would have liked it to be like linked with the thread, you know. Thanks, Eliza. Yeah, specialty thread is, you know, and my machine's not really calibrated for this, so I'm not sure it would be the best for everybody. I was just a little worried I got that upside down, but I don't think I did. All right, we're gonna top stitch this. I'm gonna press the seams towards the center. I'm not ironing for a reason, because my fabric loses a little bit of its waterproofness with really high heat. It's fine with a little heat. But when I tried fusing interfacing, it wasn't really staying as waterproof. I just don't like how my top stitching looks when I can't iron, you know? Oh, that's cool, Lena. Yeah, exactly. I know, and I think I was saying to someone, or maybe yesterday I was telling you guys, that my husband and I were talking about, like, I was like, you know, this whole area over here of our yard, maybe we should, like, make that a little bit more of like a formalized work area for, like, chopping wood and splitting wood and storing it. And we could put up some shade, you know, and he was like, yeah, maybe those, like, I didn't know what they were called, but the sail shades, you know, the big triangular taut pieces of fabric. And then like 2 days later, I got an email from Sailrite teaching you how to make that. Yeah, and I've always wanted to try their machines. I wish I could understand Florence. Sorry. All right, so we have this. We have our waistline. It's up here. I took out a little bit of fabric here. I have a notch. Okay, we're good, right? I think you do the yoke before this, but this is gonna be okay. Oh shoot, I have a center back seam, that's right. Center back seam, center back seam. What did you think, Tammy? Do you like it? Yeah, do tell about it. What Ray said. This is the waist, this is the center back. All right. Center back seam on the lower back where the double notches are. Someone's oh, it's my neighbor. I'm gonna top stitch this seam and press it one direction and top stitch. Hi, Catherine. 9,000 or 8,000. Is that the tabletop one? The TL? Is that what that's called? Whoops. Scissors. It was like driving a tank. It's very hard to control. Oh, interesting. All right. So I'm going to do this waist seam again. Oops. Wait a minute. I think I did do that upside down, you guys. If so, I'm just going to call it and fix it. All right. What time is it? 1:15? I think I will call it, actually. Well, at least we got to the, yeah, this is pretty sure. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I just did this upside down. I knew it looked funny. I'm done today. I'm having one of those sewing days. Latia, oh, okay. Well, I have the 8700-7. Yeah, I have that one, Florent. Oh, that's cool, Dar. Does anyone follow Fair Trade on Fair Trade, meaning FEHR, on Instagram? She lives on a boat. It's like driving a tank. Call it. Yeah. It's okay, you guys. I knew it and I just ignored it, but I could tell it's like, this doesn't flare. It's so dark. It's so dark. And I'm so like over the, you know, I wonder if I can steam this out too. It looks much more wrinkly on camera. This tension is a little tighter with this heavier thread. Looks better in person than on the camera. You know? It's okay. We'll get sorted out. So then on Saturday, that means I'll finish putting the back together. Really close on that. This is going to be a 3-part sew. But that's okay because next week we're making the North Star pullover. I'm pretty sure I can do that in one stream. So we'll be back on track. I need to figure out my August schedule. It is my 3-year anniversary in August. We're almost hitting 10,000 subscribers. And it's like I kind of want to do something special, but I don't want a lot of pressure because it's, you know, whatever, 3 years, you know, it's just time. And I've had a lot of ideas, and one of the ones I'm floating around is doing all the things I always have wanted to do and I haven't gotten around to, like making the little ped socks. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna take a drink too. What? But I have like so many things, like weird things, but they're still cool sewing things, like maybe a magnetic mesh screen door. The next sew next week, Eliza, is in my private stitch removal, exactly. I'm going to be making the North Star pullover, which is by Love Notions. It's a fleece pullover, and I'm going to be making it, I'm going to be modifying that one. I haven't modified any of the menswear I've made this month, but I will be modifying that to look a lot like a Patagonia quarter zip pullover. I haven't sewn a lot of those quarter zips, you know, so that'll be entertaining for you guys. And it's going to be different in that it won't have the hood or the waist seam or the kangaroo pocket. It'll just be smooth. Aw, Terry, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Je ne parle français. Is that right? I can say it in Spanish. Yeah, so let's look at our successes today. So I'll have the sleeve. Yeah, I have quite a bit to sew here, considering how this is going with this thread. We'll look at our successes here, except for that one snap. Thanks for hanging with me, you guys, today. We basically sewed pockets, and that's it. You did, Lydia? Awesome. Did you follow the style? Which one did you do, the hood or no hood? I think Beverly did too. Yeah, right, Ray. That would be fun. Yeah, because it's not a French seam, right? Yeah, but I'm going to do a quarter zip. Like, it's not going to go all the way down to that waist seam. It's going to go, like, right here. That's pretty cool. Lauren has the 8700-7. Quarter zip pullover for my... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. No hood. It's nice. Yeah, I feel like it's a really useful garment. I wouldn't mind making me one. I haven't had a fleece pullover. I feel like when you become a mom, you just start giving your kids things, you know? You're like, oh, I'm going to get myself a new one. And you never do. So, and they borrow your clothes sometimes, so. All right, well, thanks for hanging with me, hanging tough. Today was a little bit tough. And I'm not at all discouraged, though, so don't be discouraged. I'm sorry if you're watching this uploaded video and it was a little bit of a struggle for you. But hopefully that casing tip helped you. And I will see you on Saturday for part 2. I'll get this back on track. I'll fix that snap, I hope, too. The snap on that cargo short pocket ended up being fine. Oh, you did, Eliza? That's awesome. I really wish I could make my zipper look like the Patagonia one with the binding on the back, but I just don't have the right machinery for that. You know? That's great. I do love my machine. I sort of wish it did zigzag, but you know. All right, well, I will see you guys Saturday. All right? I can't believe it's already Thursday, honestly. Stay safe out there, and happy sewing, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.